Well, that's another story.
I can give you also some success stories that doesn't necessarily have to be a live webcast. And I can go on I've mentioned some anecdotes. I mean, if people can't be here live, maybe they can make time for you on demand. And what I'm also a big proponent of, and this is great for getting data and tracking behavior, is indexing a presentation. I want to pick, maybe I don't want to hear your introduction and your bio, but I want to hear David's question, or I want to hear the segue. And then we keep data, so we almost map the behavior of the remote attendee to say this content was incredibly compelling. This one you can go away with. And, and then the feedback. So it doesn't have to always be live, but that's, once again, shaping the medium for the experience. Give it to them in little bits. Let them click around like you do on the web anyway. So we find that can be really compelling.
Let me get him.
Goes down. Sorry.
That's okay.
If the number of viewers go down, does that mean that it's not as popular? So you cut it differently?
This is way back when the web was webcasting, about 1998, when video webcasting was still really kind of like scary. And a major banking client invited the top 50 CFOs worldwide, very rarefied, breakers, golf, and they spent like $100,000 to get Daniel Burris, who is that keynote.
Right.
All right, and they said, "Oh, we want you to webcast live." There was no connectivity at the breakers. We had to bring things in, back in the old days. I said to them, what makes that CFO going to be in his office or her office at 9 a.m. if she couldn't be there on site to watch a futurist? I don't think so. Plus, you've got your time zones, LA, the whole bit. I said, do yourself a favor. Go around and videotape everything. 2 cameras, all the sessions and Daniel. Edit them down to like 2-minute, like direct marketing commercials. Little snippets, and they can choose. If that's great, I'll engage in the full 90 minutes. And let's test. We test it. Daniel Burris came in a distant second. The one that came in first was a very boring but informative session on derivatives. And what that said is that those CFOs go to this bank, to be nameless, not because of the entertainment and Daniel Burris and golf and the breakers, because of information that they need and is compelling for them to get.
So content. So I heard several things here. I heard actually recording and then putting it into some marketing, bite-sized, 2-minute. A lot of us will watch a 2 or 3 minute marketing video, like MTV or YouTube, and then also so that it leads people to maybe want to watch the whole thing. And you heard, going back to balancing the two, you heard also put activities into, work with your speakers so that there's activities in breaks where there's discussion, even in a theater of 1,000 people. In a theater of 12,000 people, I can make it engaging. I can make it interactive, give a point in 10 minutes and say, okay, turn to your neighbor on your right or your left, and I want you to talk about this point, how you're going to apply it. And then turn to your virtual and then give them some more tips while your audience is doing that. So there's 2 ways to balance those right off the bat. And I think another piece, a third way, is to make sure that they can text with each other as well as with anybody who's there. Because what has happened today, if you've been watching the Twitter feed, we have virtual attendees. We've had problems with, obviously, our live streaming from time to time. But you see them asking questions. You see them repeating what's being said. You see them helping each other. And you see some of us answering their questions for them. So there's this balance going on.
Just to David's point, exactly what you're talking about right now. That's how you get people involved. If you're in it because of the people involved and you're talking with the people there, that's how you keep them involved. That's how you keep them viewing the screen, because you're engaging. I'm sitting next to someone almost and having that conversation while I'm watching the presentation. That's why I'm going to be in the moment watching the live feed. If you want them to just watch the show, you just got to make it interesting, and they can be. Oh, sorry. You can go back and watch it anytime on demand. You just make it interesting, but to really make it so that people are involved and engaged to have that conversation, you have to have that component there.
So another tip too is to have a moderator, have a facilitator, have a couple that are in the face-to-face audience that are watching what's going on and can engage with the remote audience.
Yeah, no, I was just going to add on to what you said in terms of, I think it's important to think about this not always as just live and virtual, that the on-demand component is a really important component. I mean, you know, statistically, we get far more people watching an on-demand of a webcast than we do a live streaming of a webcast. And so there then you can start to think about, okay, as you've been suggesting, can we, you know, make the content more digestible? So if you've got a keynote, can we chapterize it? Can we bring it down to, you know, digestible 10-minute, you know, length things, which we often do? Or can we cut down a keynote to, again, just the salient points? And then, you know, there are tools out there where you can take and make, you know, virtually every word in the stream searchable, you know, and transcribable. So there's lots of opportunities for engaging remote attendees, both during a live event and after the fact.
Okay. Are we answering your question about balance? Are you getting some ideas here how to balance the two? More questions?
I had a question earlier today about the value placed on virtual attendance versus real attendance. I'm just judging by myself. There's a lot of webinars that I could attend to, but I don't generally attend webinars that much. I don't find them exciting because it's not the same as being there. So, like, I'm wondering like, if it's a niche thing, maybe like some super secret thing that I never heard about and want to, you know, yeah, I'll go out of my way. But your average, I'm kind of almost feeling like, just how much weight does someone following this conference give it? I mean, they're in between working out, making breakfast. I mean, how much attention are they really? Yeah. I mean, if it's Oshkosh, Wisconsin or something, and it's not that many people coming there, maybe they're sitting down. Listen, I'm just wondering what weighting does a virtual person have?
So I would say there's different experiences. There's the virtual, the remote experience, and there's the face-to-face experience. And I think we need to acknowledge they are different. They are not the same. They feel differently, they seem differently. They both have pros and cons. I think you brought up another point that's interesting, that I do believe the market is flooded with free webinars and content. And therefore, the attendee is becoming more sophisticated, and the expectations have moved much higher, particularly remote webinar attendees. And they're not going to set for something boring.
And most of the stuff is like an introduction stuff, you know, like I mostly tell them when I attend Arterians but just about anything, it's always, well, how to get started on your SEO. You know, like,
So you're looking for more advanced content from time to time, and
I never get it though, almost never.
in the remote, in the webinars.
Yeah. I don't want to have to pay for it.
Where do you get it?
I almost never get it.
Okay.
I don't know, do I get it anywhere? Almost never.
Are there people you seek out to ask questions?
Yeah.
I'm driving the point here back to relations.
Area experts, though.
Okay, Liz.
I just had a comment on virtual and face-to-face. There was a Greater Midwest chapter event through PCMA. Actually, Mike was the moderator for that event, but I thought it was very unique because we had a Disney Institute speaker, very well thought of, excellent speaker, who addressed the virtual audience or the remote audience. But what we had, in addition to just one person sitting in front of their computer watching the webcast, we had different cities throughout the U.S. where people actually got together. I think they call it pods. So it became, you know, remote virtual attendee, but they were actually having face-to-face because they were discussing what was going on and then tweeting back to the moderator. I mean, it was a lot of different things going on all at once. So you had face-to-face in Dallas, even though the event was going on in Chicago, but yet they were tweeting comments that were being read in Chicago and being addressed by the speaker, and they could see that, and she was talking to them. So I think that was an example of a very successful event. It was over 250 people that were there face-to-face, but then additionally, we had over 150 people in different cities throughout the U.S. So
Great